Hey YouTubers, this is the first episode of Matt's World with me, Matthew Burris, and pretty much, it's my world and you people live in it. Now, the first subject I'm going to be doing here for Matt's World's video is the Elliot Rodgers story. This is near and dear to my heart, and the reason why this is so near and dear to my heart because I have Asperger's, as I mentioned before on my introduction video. I have Asperger's syndrome. I was diagnosed at the age of 16. And of course, he was diagnosed much earlier. He was diagnosed at, they say it was age 8 or age 6, I forget. But he was diagnosed young. And at 19, as we all know, he murdered and slaughtered those women in college. Basically because he got turned down by women for dates, and he posted videos on YouTube, about what he was going to do in the massacre. And sorry, I'm just working the camera angles, people. I'm a little new at this. And the thing is, I can sort of relate to that. I mean, to the victims, I'm sorry, and my prayers go out to you. But I had a friend once, actually, he's still a friend to this day. I'm not going to mention his name. I don't want to put him out there. But he had Asperger's, and he had a resentment towards women because he had been rejected by women in school. And that sort of thing can do damage on your brain psychologically. And for a while, I have had my frustrations with women as an Aspie myself. And the thing is, I had a lot of help. I have a therapist, and because of women I've talked to, mostly my mom and my aunt, and they explained to me how women can be sometimes in this world. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there are some women out there that are, how should I put this, that really do walk around like their shit don't stink. Hey, I'm not trying to, hey, if I offend you, I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to offend you, I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, there are some women out there that are basically cunts, they act like cunts, but there are women who reject men respectfully. They just go, sorry, you're a nice guy, but I have a boyfriend, or I'm not looking for someone. And that's mostly fine. Now, that's not an excuse for what he did. Okay, murder is not an answer. I mean, trust me, I've had some women who I've dealt with in the past, and I've wanted to choke the bejesus out of, but I didn't do it. And I guess the thing is, nobody really reached. I mean, he had help himself. He had help, and he had a therapist and stuff. But I guess by that time it was just too late, and maybe he didn't get enough help, and he didn't get much help with social cues and what have you. And the media, people are going to play this up with the Asperger's and such. And I mean, I remember a case not too long ago here in Massachusetts. There was a person with Asperger's, and he had murdered somebody, and they tried the Asperger claim to get him off, and of course that didn't happen. And the thing is, not everybody with Asperger's are murderers. Okay, we have feelings just like everyone else. We laugh, we cry, we get angry, we get upset. And the thing is, with people people who have Asperger's, there's a bullying thing because because of our mental disability, we have been bullied. And I can speak from experience because I was bullied. And when you're bullied, and after years of that, you get tired of being fucked with. I don't like seeing people getting fucked with, and I don't like being fucked with. But I know that there's a line you don't cross. I mean, it's one thing to give out a tongue lashing and maybe an ass whipping, but to go over the line and to just murder somebody, that's just completely wrong. You really can't do that. And it just really kind of breaks my heart, because now some people are going to go, oh, those people with Asperger's, they're crazy, look at them, see, that one person committed murder, and that is not true. I'm a living example of that. I mean, when I deal with women, I get frustrated. I mean, the women who reject me nicely and say, like, oh, no, thank you, you're a nice guy, and that doesn't bother me. It's when women, they act very cunty. That's what gets me frustrated. And I've talked about this before with my therapist and my family members and friends. But, that's just the way some people are. And what keeps me, for lack of a better word, sane, or what keeps me not giving up on women, is the fact that I have been in relationships. I've had 3 girlfriends in my life. Actually, I didn't date in high school. I was the kid that couldn't get a girl to go out with me in high school. My dating started late. And what also keeps me going is the compliments. Sometimes, we forget sometimes that, we need a pat on the back. I mean, you have to have a confidence about you, yeah, but at the end of the day, you're human. And when you're human, sometimes you hear a lot of negative stuff, and, negative. And, you need that pat on the back to say that, hey, you're okay. You're a nice guy. And for me, I'm one of those people. So whenever I get that pat on the back, whenever I start feeling down, that just motivates me to keep going. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, it is difficult, I mean, dating for people with disabilities, it's a hard thing, man. It's hard for us. But, we have to not give up. Because, if we give up, then we really have no chance, It's like that preacher said in that Tyler Perry movie, not to mean to bring religion and all this, but, it's not a sin to be weary. The biggest sin is giving up. And someone should have really reached out to him and said, hey, don't give up. It's you're still young, you still have plenty of time, and plus you have Asperger's, and you're still working things out. And that's what we need to do. We just can't, as Aspies, we can't give up. We just can't. And not everyone with Asperger's are like extremely violent. Now, I'm from the era of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Me, my brother, and my cousins, we used to play those games like crazy. And I do watch violent sports, UFC, kickboxing, football, mostly the Patriots. And I have never gone out and tried to kill anybody. I've never killed anybody. I have never owned a gun. None of that. So, it depends on who the person is, And also, people have said, like, well, how do you get access to illegal firearms? And that we'll probably never know. We'll probably never know how he got illegal firearms. But, I mean, I'm all for the right to bear arms, but I guess we just have to find a way to regulate it and to update it, modify it, I mean, in Canada, they have good gun control up there. I guess we have to look at what the Canadians are doing and go from there. And also, there are people with Asperger's. There are famous people out there. There's Susan Boyle. There's Bill Gates, Dan Aykroyd. Mark Twain had Asperger's himself. So that is further proof that people with Asperger's, not everyone with Asperger's is all dangerous. There are some nice people out there. And some people have also been saying, like, well, this kid, he was rich and, he had everything, but as the old saying goes, money, doesn't buy everything. You can have 2 Bugattis, you could have a swimming pool, and, the biggest Jordan shoe collection in the world, but, if you're not happy, then it doesn't mean shit. It just doesn't. And his father was the director on the Hunger Games movies, and his father, everyone is blaming the father, blaming the parents, and I'm sure his father did his best. Raising a kid with a disability is not easy. Just ask my mother. But I think this incident further proves that, we really do have to take a look at mental health and mental disability and stuff. Not excusing the murder, but we really need to really educate ourselves, especially the police. The police have to do a better job at recognizing mental health. They have to do some sort of training for it, because that's one of the biggest complaints about the police, is that there's no training on this. I mean, they're training for rapists, killers, gangbangers, how to handle domestic violence, disturbance, but they're not really trained on how to deal with people with mental illness. And that's what needs to happen. if we're gonna have a nice society for people with not only with Asperger's but with mental retardation, autism, um, ADD, ADHD, Tourette's. There needs to be an understanding, training on it, how to deal with somebody with that. And with that kind of training, we'll know how to handle a situation and make sure that something like this, what just happened, will never happen again. I mean, is it going to happen overnight? No. I mean, that's unrealistic. But we have to take it one step at a time. It just takes one step at a time. But we really need to do something. And also, Aspies, we don't, there's like support groups and stuff, but there's really no groups or anything out there on how to deal with dating, that teaches you how to date, and, that just focus solely on dating, and I think that's another thing that could help as well. Because, that way it'll be much easier for us. We'll know the game, we'll learn how to navigate it and how to control it and how to deal with rejection. And because the reality is, there's rejection in life. You get rejected from a job you want, you get rejected, when you're in school, you're playing for a sports team, you get rejected. It sucks. It's almost like, you lost, but as one of my favorite UFC fighters, Dan Severn, once said, if you've never lost, how will you truly appreciate winning? So that's my take on it. Leave comments and tell me what you think. And I welcome free speech. Hate speech, I go back and forth on. But I do welcome free speech, and tell me what you think. Write, respond, do with it what you want. I'm out.